The information and views expressed by our host or guests on the Unlock Potential podcast are their own, and not a substitute for professional medical or fitness advice. Always consult with qualified healthcare or fitness professionals before starting any new exercise program or making changes to your current routine.
You have to ASK to GET.
Mm-hmm.
You have to ask the work, which means showing up with high intent to the work, and the work just starts to feed you back.
Hello and welcome to Season 2 of Unlock Potential. I'm Brian Delaney. Our focus this season is fitness. I'll be joined by Dr. Duvall, who's going to guide us through his protocol for getting into your best shape so we can live our best lives and serve others well.
Hello and welcome to episode 23 of Unlock Potential. I am your host, Brian Delaney, today with my co-host, extraordinaire when it comes to working out, when it comes to Stay Active method. You guys have received remarkable guidance from him as well as his co-host. We've got Dr. Duvall in the house today to help us to discuss some of those entry points for people into the Stay Active method as we put the Stay Active app in their hands, as they're going on that process and that journey of unlocking potential. Where do people start from? We're going to talk about the rock, the hard place, as well as being stuck in the middle and how to get out, how anybody who is dealing with these, which I pretty much believe is everybody who's dealing with one of these or one of these three, is in that position. And after being asked enough times this past week, am I too old? I got that question. I'm too old. Am I too old? Am I too far gone? Am I a lost cause? We wanted to answer that question, not only with a hell yeah, you can do this work too. No way are you too old, or are you so exceptional as far as your circumstances that the Stay Active method won't work for you, and give you some guidance and direction on how to start to bring this work into your own life and also connect with us and the larger community of people who are going after this. So thanks for joining me once again.
Yeah, Brian, that was beautiful.
Yeah. Have really enjoyed these last couple of episodes with Katie Rice.
Yeah.
And if people listen to where Katie Rice is 49 years old, an endurance mountain bike athlete, having the conversations that people aren't having out loud, that women aren't able to have out loud, that people aren't comfortable enough. You guys just did a great job of blowing that up. So I wanted to move to this and start, sharing a little bit of the quiet part out loud for people.
Yeah.
That way they can say, oh, that's me, and here's how the work would benefit me, and here's a great place to start.
Yeah.
Sound good?
That's beautiful. So I do want to ask you, I'm noticing how pale my skin is as we get to the end of winter, but you've got some really nice color. So where were you getting asked all those questions about whether people are too old?
Listen, we all live hard lives, okay? Mine's just not that hard anymore. So we want to help you unlock your potential, because I feel like there's too much work addiction. There's too much work addiction. There's too much, I'm building a business. My business needs more from me. I build my business more. My business needs more from me.
Yeah.
Your business will give you what you ask for it as you grow it, right?
Well put.
And if you can be the type of person who, when your business asks you for time, for energy, for intent, to show up with high intent, for monetary investment, if you are the type of person who answers that call and answers it quick, and you don't resist your business, you will find that when it's your time to grab onto it, your business won't resist you either. And my business stopped resisting me a long time ago. I just got back from Nevis, which is it's in the West Indies, and this time of year is gorgeous. And that island is amazing, and the people on that island are really amazing as well. Had an awesome time there of just refreshing, resetting my mindset, looking at what the next levels are for me down there. Did a lot of reading, did a lot of journaling, just about what we're doing here and how we can help more people, right?
Yeah, I love that.
And just an opportunity to continue my work in this workout.
Yeah.
in a new, beautiful place. Like,
Yeah, brother.
I think the best place for the stay active method is working out within like a short distance of salt water for me, so I can go dive into the salt water after, because that
Feel it
was
instead of drink it.
listen, both. We don't do either or. Or is for the poor. Both
Yes.
end here, right?
Both end, brother.
Both end, right? Drink it. Immerse yourself in that, just like you immerse yourself in the work. But yeah, I feel so fortunate to be at this point in my career where I get a lot of both. I get
Yeah.
my business calling for me, and I get my business giving to me. But just like with the work we do anywhere, you have to ask to GET.
Mhm.
You have to ask the work, which means showing up with high intent
Yep.
to the work, and the work just starts to feed you back.
Yeah.
And recognize that, and so I'm really thankful I got to share that time with a lot of other people I love, and we look forward to being able to do that with more of you, as all of you get to the next levels in your business, your career, and your life.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So people were asking you, hey, am I too old for this work?
Yeah, less am I, more I am.
Oh, powerful statement.
More I am, right? So, and that's a lot of times where we use those I am statements in limiting conversation, right?
Yeah.
I am tired. I am too old. I am too injured. And that was a normal response. And this gentleman connected right away because he saw a friend of ours, Marlon. He sees this guy who's like 6'3", 240 pounds. This guy looks like a building.
Yeah.
And he's out there doing sprints. As part of the daily original workout with me.
Yeah.
And he sees this guy doing that, and he's like, well, why can't I?
Exactly.
And it brought him from this confidence of, I am too old, I am too injured, to this curiosity of, I still think that, but maybe I'm not.
Yeah, exactly.
Like just that little inch of curiosity we can do a lot with. I know you have for me. So
yeah,
absolutely.
So in those moments, people feel something and don't know what to do with the feeling. So they put a label on it so that they can just ignore that feeling and know that, oh, they don't have to do anything about it. Instead, we get curious. That's what he felt. In that moment, he felt curious. One of the things people feel when they're getting older is low energy. Physically, they feel too tired to add something else into their work. And so when people feel too tired to add something else in, it's that they need to be more efficient with what they're doing. And so we insert a bit of exercise in there, in that stamina realm when people are tired, because what that does is that teaches the body to use energy more efficiently. A lot of times people get this momentum. They're like, okay, I'm excited. Let's go. And they take that and they really go after it. They get outside their comfort zone for minutes upon tens of minutes at a time. They go really intense. They take not enough of a break. They go really intense. They take not enough of a break. That teaches inefficiency. That's where a lot of the burnout comes from physically, is too intense for too long. The stamina work, when people feel a little too tired and feel a little too old, but have a little curiosity, the stamina work teaches them to stay within that comfort zone. And the comfort zone grows. The comfort zone is where the body actually uses energy more efficiently. So you see somebody doing 10 sprints. If you do it within the comfort zone, it's easier. You can come back the next day, the day after that, the week later. But if you do those 10 at your all out with not enough recovery in between, you're going to be more sore the next day, more tired the next day, resistant the next week. And so when you're tired, you got to settle into that comfort zone just a little bit more.
I love that. And the reason he got curious was because he was inspired by Marlon.
Exactly.
He was inspired by Marlon, which opened this thing up of curiosity that says, well, maybe my excuses before are bullshit. Or maybe they used to be enough, they're just not enough anymore.
Yeah.
Right? I'm in this new phase. I'm moving through that phase, right? And that phase is not called death, it's called long life, right?
Exactly.
It's called long life and being able to be as useful, right? As creative and as creative and being able to be in service to others, right?
Yes.
And that's what I saw. And the first thing that I saw was that he was going there. And then he went right to the next one. Oh, but you don't know about my knees. Right? It was kind of the rock of low energy.
Yep.
And now he was at the hard place of physical limitations that were injuries that continue on because of ignorance, caused injury, illness, suffering, right? And the suffering is I get to live less of a robust life. I get to be a part of that less robustly. My workouts are now an hour on the treadmill instead of a variety of things, right? Because I know that's safe, but I'm seeing that it's more and more limited movement, more and more limited creativity, and movement, creativity, and beliefs are becoming more and more limited. And what a lot of people call that is aging.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so they become afraid of the future. Well, if I do something to bring my energy up, won't I just end up in this place, or at least fighting against this natural resistance of age, right? Because aging to them means degradation in a slow and steady pattern, right? So what would you have to say to somebody who's kind of not at the rock, but they're more at the hard place?
Totally. So Peter Parker, also known as Spider-Man, as he was developing his powers, felt a lot of resistance to even using them. And his Uncle Ben said to him, with great power comes great responsibility. And so as people start to engage in exercise, they had this moment of curiosity, they start to take on that exercise, they need to be aware of what their body is feeling while they're going through that. And as they're aware of how their body is feeling, they have to use the energy that is starting to be unlocked within them. They need to use it responsibly. And in order to use something responsibly, you got to know what direction you're headed. If you are out on the boat and you end up just throttling it, but you don't have your head up seeing where you're going, you might head off in a beautiful direction and see a gorgeous sunset over the next 15 years. But if you don't have your head up knowing where you're going, you might throttle it, run right into the beach, and blow the motor out the backside. And so we need to feel how we're feeling and then choose the appropriate direction. The Stay Active Method app measures what you're capable of so that as you start to feel good, your knee pain starts to reduce, you start to take on some more heavy squats, you get the right dosage of those squats in conjunction with other movements to balance your body out. You don't get excited because you're feeling good with squats and do them day after day after day after day until boom. Oh, now I got knee pain again. Therefore, no more squatting. And so the great power is the energy that starts to get released when people start to exercise the right way. The responsibility is checking in on how you're feeling and combining that with a measurement system.
Exactly. And a lot of us who come from this place, I mean, I before I was working with you, I was coming from a bit of all these places. Yeah. Right. But as we come from this space, we can push that throttle forward and then start telling ourselves what workouts to do.
Exactly.
Right. Or we can just keep that throttle off so it never touches that place and then wonder why those symptoms become more and more pronounced over time and manifest in other areas because of our lack of movement or a lack of at least pushing into a little bit of resistance. In a responsible way. And that's where I was like, well, who is the Stay Active Method for? Is it for the person who's tired and low energy, right? And wants to maybe lose some weight and that kind of thing?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Or is it for the person who previously had a good workout routine, was told when they were 25 that their testosterone was going to lower, that their estrogen was going to come up, that or vice versa for women, and that their metabolism goes down and that they stop growing this way and start growing this way, like the societal, or is it for that person, right?
You said or is for the poor, and it's for them.
And for them, and for the person who has had real resistance in their life, blown out knees, right? Shoulder issues that are real, that are causing limitations and real problems that when they get it down into a squatting position, right? They're really feeling that pain.
Most definitely.
And every single time they go to work out again, right? They take a little bit from here, and here, and push it. but seemingly never end up with the results of any of those people who they took advice from, only to be injured again and moving either into one category or the other, or a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, definitely.
And that's where I find it's like, if you're tired, does this work for you? Yes.
Yes.
And we have a direct prescriptive way of moving toward it, and it's not disconnected. You lack stamina, we work on stamina.
Yep.
Right? You lack different ways of doing things, we work on flexibility. You lack strength, and you don't have a channel to get that anger and to metabolize those emotions to keep those moving through you so they don't get stuck.
Yep.
We got strength.
Exactly.
You're feeling good in general. We have a varied workout called the DAO, the Daily Original Workout, that meets a lot of those needs and fills a lot of those buckets, only for you to do the limber test and check in again.
Exactly.
And that's why you don't need one perfect program for you, because you're a person who has multiple symptoms, multiple circumstances, multiple goals.
Oh yeah.
Right. And hopefully not multiple personalities, but if you do, I think that can be worked on here.
Yes.
Right. So talk about that person who may not be at the one end of that tired and low energy.
Yep.
They may not any longer be suffering from the injury, or that's a lower, more kind of residual.
Yep.
The person who is ready to go. Been here before though, Corey. I listened to this, I listened to that, I listened to the 10,000 things. I'm ready for a change. I just don't know how to.
Yeah. So when you've pushed off the rock and you've pushed off the hard place and you're in the middle and you're not totally sure what direction to go, you feel invigorated. And when you feel invigorated, you want to be able to use that energy. And when you feel good, you want to use the energy in kind of a mixed way. A little bit over here, a little bit over there, a little bit over there. That's the daily original workout. It's going to change every day when you're in there. It's what the essence of CrossFit was most attractive to people. They were coming from a place where they felt pretty good because they had done a lot of the other things. And they were like, hey, let's mix things up, see how it goes. So we've got the daily original workout when you feel good, when you feel peaceful, when you feel a little mentally bored, you want to kind of see what's possible. Well, as you start playing and moving your body in those different ways day after day, you're going to bump into some of those other limitations. You're going to feel a little tired because you went a little hard yesterday. You're going to feel a little sore because it was wall balls and it was a little more than you've done before. And so now you're a little achy from that. Well, as you start to get those symptoms, we've got stamina work and flexibility work to massage you back into the middle. When you're feeling good, elevates a little more. Now you start feeling great. Or as you mentioned, other things are starting to kind of push on you. You're feeling a little pushed around and you're starting to feel like, oh, I got to push back just a little bit. You're wanting to push the limits. You got a little anger, a little extra energy. You got to be able to go for it. But strength work is the highest risk. It's the heaviest weights, the fastest speeds, the most reps, the most fatigue. So there's a risk associated with it. We want to be able to meter that risk appropriately. So we teach you how to pace yourself on an early set and fully recover and go, okay, how did that feel? Now, after you've recovered from that set, we're going to take on a second set. We're going to go a little more. It's going to be a little heavier, or we're going to go a little faster. How does that feel? Ooh, that's getting a little uncomfortable on my left side. Maybe I have to adjust next time. So now I'm ready for my third set. I've fully recovered from the first two. I know I got to push the right side just a little bit more. Ooh, now my heart rate's getting up after that third set. I'm starting to feel even more like, let's really get after this. But you know where you're at relative to your edge when you've done those prior sets at a paced way. If you don't go into it with that restraint as you push forward, you might overshoot. You've got all this energy, blow it out on the first set, and you're like, oh, I just did it to myself. You may also pace, and go, oh, I'm not even close to my edge. Let's go for it now. And you go extra 50 pounds instead of the 20-pound jumps you were doing. Now you went a little bit too far, and as you go too far because you pace too much, you end up pushing yourself too far that way as well. And so we teach you how to pace and how to progress yourself towards that limit and what the limit feels like. So good, you get to mix it up. Great, you get to push the limit, but we don't do it without measuring and approaching that limit as we go.
If you're tired of feeling low on energy and settling for the scraps, it's time for your personal revolution. We are helping people go from the person that they have been to the person they were truly meant to be, and helping people get to the next level in their life, their business, and their relationships. Follow us. I think that's really important as we talk here. You may hear us talk about, and people have heard us talk about in this way, where it's like all signals from the body. It's like, no, signals from the body, and learning how to get them, that's got to be primary.
Exactly.
The structure to put those into so that it actually helps you to accomplish what you want to accomplish and heal from some of those old wounds, some of those deficits that you've built into the future, that where the future is now, right? Start to fill in some of those holes, and then to be able to come in active and to be able to be outside of the gym and be useful.
Exactly.
Not so you get to the point where you're in the gym, and because of the work in the gym, you're not useful. You're just sore all the time. You're useless when you leave the gym, right?
Yep.
This is the training ground in the morning so that we can practice for the rest of the day.
Exactly.
Right. But here's a deal that comes up. I was trying to do double unders. Trying to do double unders. I'm sitting there trying to, and I'm just getting like, I don't belong here. This work isn't for me. Right. Or trying to do something new where I have other strength spots, and I know people who have had the injuries past and present. We have this thing in our mind. I remember when I used to be able to squat 250, 300, 350, whatever, that we have this goal that's from the past, and we start to apply that and use that as the standard or the judge for the work that we're doing now. And our ego says, I'm out of place. I'm out of place because I can't do this work. My body's not really built to do this work. Like, I get it, the squats, I get it, the strength work. That's great. But why am I getting up off the floor and standing up over and over again? Like today, I had 50 standing to kneelings. There was no weight in that. And that was one of the top level workouts. Why am I doing this? So how do you coach people through that when they start to feel that resistance because they've never been there? They think that they don't belong there.
So I heard you go in two directions there. The first direction was you don't feel capable. The other direction was that you had a goal that you used to be attached to and you're not there. Am I hearing both of those?
I would say one feeds into that the second one feeds into that first one, because because we're judging our current state off of what used to be, right? But that did cause injury. We sometimes we don't remember that part, right? And that leads us to a place of like, I don't belong. Like, I need to be at a gym where I only do powerlifting, or I need to be at a gym with a different focus, not one that's asking me to do something that's not possible, which is like squatting down with one leg, right? It doesn't feel possible because it feels difficult. And if I haven't gotten there by now, is it realistic? Like, all these limitations, and those are that's the same resistance that's kept us from hitting things before. So we know it's resistance, but what's the coaching and the guidance so that they're not stuck between the rock and the hard place? They have the clear direction. And when that thought comes up, which is one of the thoughts that was from either the rock or the hard place, you can help them reinterpret, because now they're in the growth work. They're not stuck anymore. They got unstuck. Now they're growing, right? But they're feeling some of the same things that they did before. Their experience, whether it's their ego, whether it's the limitations just in the body or how something feels, but it all gets to this conversation that kind of isn't really helpful unless it's worked through or reinterpreted.
The deepest desire is to be as fit as you can be so that you're maximally helpful to others. And when you're in the moment doing the work and you're comparing to some other point in time, the only way to get close to whatever those points in time you're trying to do is maximizing right now. So you're struggling with double unders. Is quitting early going to help you get better at double unders? No.
It's going to relieve the frustration that I feel in the like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's going to do that,
Yep.
right? Which getting better is far off. Feeling better is kind of at least temporarily, and making it worse. That's right here.
Yeah.
Right. So no, it's not going to help me to get better, but it may provide some temporary relief. That like because my beliefs about this right now are unsupportive of me doing more work. Right.
Yeah.
So no, it's not going to help me get better at double unders long term.
Quitting early.
Quitting early.
Yeah.
Will not. Quitting
Will not.
early will not.
Yep. Now, are you doing double unders in a strength piece or in the daily original workout?
I'm doing those as a stamina piece.
As a stamina piece.
Yeah.
Got it.
As a stamina piece.
So the mindset going into stamina work is minimal mental and emotional strain. And mental and emotional strain is about setting a goal. So we want minimal goal setting.
Okay.
So you're like, oh, I'm doing double unders. You start doing double unders. You trip. You're like, okay, right back to the double unders. Trip again. Oh, tripping quicker. You don't quit. You don't stop the timer. You don't throw the rope. You don't walk away. You just take space until you recover, until you get back to the double unders. And it's just constantly back to the minute, back to the minute, back to the minute.
I think part of what you're saying, big element to what you're saying is being okay, because sometimes it's not even just the goal I have to get back to. It's a pattern of movement that I've carried from other work that has caused injury, which has led to tired and low energy.
Yeah.
It's like, this is how fast I jump rope.
Yeah.
Right. This is how, and I'm carrying that pattern. And for those of you who are out there, one of the things that Corey talked about right there was creating space. And that's creating space and releasing us from the judgment of the past or the fear of the future. And just being willing to go slow and do it at a pace that allows us to meet that goal of the minimal mental and emotional strain.
Exactly.
To be able to back off there. That's such a big deal.
Yeah.
To not feel like have those quitting, invest in the quitting.
Yeah.
Right. To not invest in those emotions that we don't want to be a big part of our future.
Yeah.
Right. But to be able to stay present and say, I know everything I can't do now. That's clear. That's become clear. The harder I try to go on these freaking double unders, the more I hit my arms, my legs, I trip over them, I hit my feet. The harder I try to go, the more I try, the worse of an outcome I get.
Yeah.
And what I hear you saying is create some space around what you can do, not what you can't do.
Exactly.
What would that look like? What would that look like in that moment? If hypothetically I ever had a problem with double unders
again,
not that again, after this morning, just like if I happen to be doing double unders later in the day, you would tell me to stop working out because it's afternoon, right? So, first, but if you saw me having trouble with doing double unders.
Yeah.
And you knew this was a newer practice. I was gaining strength in this area. I was not gaining strength, but I was gaining familiarity. Yeah, familiarity in this area. What would you do?
Yeah. So when I see somebody struggling with a skill like that, the first thing I pay attention to is their head and eye posture. Are they missing and their head and eye posture is still up, knowing that they're trusting their ability to arrive, or is their head and eye posture drop down after each rep? If they're dropping after each rep, they're driving energy down to try to get more. instead of just being present in the moment.
Mhm.
And so that would be the first thing that I would look for if I saw somebody, and I would go over and I would just gently nudge their gaze upward.
Mm.
If they're a newer client, I'd ask if they were open to some feedback, and I would say, hey, in between sets, let's try to keep the head and eye posture up.
Mhm.
If it's a client who understands me a little bit more, it might just be like a gentle, I get their attention and goes upward, and they're like, oh yeah, pick my head up. If they were hitting some reps and missing some reps and hitting some reps and missing some reps, I might be aware of whether they are trying to go from fast singles to more doubles,
Mhm.
or if they have rope control.
Mhm.
So the ability to do a skill like double unders is speeding up and slowing down the rope.
Mhm.
And so being able to transition into double unders and then back to single unders is the best way to gain that transition.
Mhm.
So that's actually developing the overall skill of jumping rope as opposed to the singular skill of a double under.
Mhm.
So we don't want to set the double under as the end goal. We want to say, well, I want to get better at getting the rope under my feet while I jump. Maybe that's 1 single under. Maybe that's 2 double unders. Maybe that's 3. Now we're doing triple unders. Maybe that's 8, which is, I think, the record. I saw a guy do a 8 under his feet. So totally wild. But the idea is that we don't want to set whatever we can't do or just beyond what we can do as the end goal. We want to do what we're doing in a way that allows us to advance to the edge that we're not currently capable of and still beyond that.
Mhm.
And so in jump rope and double unders specifically, it's about speeding up and slowing down the rope.
Mhm.
And so if they're doing a lot of double unders and just tripping and stopping, I might say, hey, try to go from single unders to double unders and back to single unders.
Mhm.
And now they start to get some rope control.
Mhm.
And as they get rope control and they can speed up and slow down, they'll start to notice the more subtle, ooh, that double under was off a little bit. And so that before they get to that tripping point, they can get back to single unders.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden they're starting to link more and more doubles without trips.
Some of the things that the clients need to bring, some of the people we partner with need to bring, because faith, having faith that the process that I'm in will get me to the result that I'm wanting,
Yeah.
and having faith that fear will not get me there,
Yeah.
right? That older mindsets, these rules that I brought from other work won't get me there. Because
Yeah.
if they could, they would have, but they didn't, so they can't,
Yeah.
right? But that faith of the work that I'm in getting me there, because using double unders, I think double unders are a really great skill work that can make you feel, or that you can decide to feel in those moments where you can decide to feel frustrated. Why am I not able to do it? God forbid you have other people who are good at double unders in the gym who make it look easy. Like it's not a really difficult skill. Like if you want to know how difficult double unders are, ask a group of 10 people who aren't in a gym to do jumping jacks. Then you'll know, because of how hard jumping jacks are. Out of those 10 people, you'll see 4 people able to do jumping jacks. Take those same group of 10 people, you'll see 3 of them be able to jump rope at a steady pace doing single unders. 2 of them potentially doing double unders. 1 of them doing double unders well.
Yeah.
But if you're in a gym, you could see multiple people doing double unders and be like, why am I not? It's because it's not about who you are, it's about when you are. You're now in their used to be.
Yep.
They were at the same when, you just happen to be at the same when, which is the starting place, not the middle place anymore.
Yeah.
And so us understanding, and for me, a big understanding is it's okay to go slow. It's okay to be deliberate.
Yeah.
It's okay to do a bunch of single unders and 1 double under.
Yep.
It's okay to do that. It's just not okay for me to stop and think I'm going to progress.
Right.
And that's a conscientiousness that you have in your coaching.
Exactly.
Right? That's what's involved in this framework, and this framework, the Stay Active Method, is for coaches to be able to move from direction at a distance to nudging with proximity.
Exactly.
To being able to, instead of saying, hey, Corey, what did you do?
Yep.
It's coming up beside and saying,
Yeah.
it's okay. Here's how to reset that.
Yep.
Be okay that this is longevity, not intensity right here.
Exactly.
Because we're in stamina,
Uh-huh.
right? And you need stamina. And there are times where I've thrown my rope. I'm sorry, Corey. I've thrown
Me
my
too.
rope. Yeah, okay.
No, I know all these rules because I've broken them all.
That's right. That's the only way we can. I've thrown my rope. I've got angry. I've done all that.
Yep.
He's given me 150 double unders, and I thought I was going to have to pack up, pack some overnight clothes, and I almost did a couple of times. But what the amazing thing was to be able to look at it as I was doing double unders for strength this past week.
Yep.
My previous best for 60 seconds was 17 of them. My new best this week was 34. And what separates that is about 60 days.
Yep.
It's not about the time. It's just about the intent showing up and allowing the time under tension to do what time under tension is. It does. To allow that guidance to do that and to be back in touch with the real signals instead of further self-denial that says, this doesn't hurt, this doesn't frustrate me, or I need to go faster, right? All these judgments that we can place on this that put us back between that rock and that hard place. It's about how can you show up today, because showing up today matters for tomorrow.
Exactly.
And showing up tomorrow is going to matter for the next day. And that's all it is. And then how do you recover from that? Be able to get into that when you're so pissed off and frustrated with double unders and you get angry, you do your limber test 5 times angry. It's strength work. And I'm sorry to let you know, but that strength work may be double unders again. But we'll get to that now. It's time to go to that strength work, arrive at it with the emotion, because there's no inappropriate emotions that come into the gym.
Right.
Only appropriate emotions, only the emotions that provide us with the signal so that we can respond intuitively and dynamically in the moment as we get attached to our appetites.
That's a really good key point, that you bump up against some of your limits in stamina work. And if you let yourself fly off the handle, storm around, huff and puff, drive it through, and used that anger in the stamina work, you'd tire yourself out. Now, if you tire yourself out, you're back to stamina work. But if you bump up against that frustration and you don't blow it out during the stamina work, you bottle that up and you're like, okay, now I'm really feeling that frustration and that anger. Well, now you get to drive it into strength work. And strength work is the tip of the spear that's going to drive your performance upward. Being kind of tired 10 minutes into stamina work doing double unders and suffering through 15 more reps over the last 5 minutes and being pissed off and huffing and puffing, that's not where you get the magic. The magic is bringing it back, holding, restraining a little bit in the stamina work, bottling that energy up, and then blasting to a new personal best in your strength work a few weeks later.
Love that. Love that. That's so clear, and that's so good. And for us to know that you can be angry at double unders, you can feel out of place. You can be in this place where it's like, I feel I don't know where to start, even though we've given you that place to start. You can feel all that. All that is part of your growth process. Another thing, and I would just love for you to speak to this as we end the episode. I get caught up sometimes because I'm not always as strong as I was the day before or the week before. And we talked about comparing seasons to seasons and comparing circumstances to circumstances. You know, Corey, if you would just understand and not consider this last workout that I just did in the whole scheme of things, and not lower my overall weight. Because before I was able to take, in my stamina workout, I was able to take 50 pounds, I was able to put it overhead, and I was able to get from standing to squatting. But I was able to do that 80 times the last time, right? And now, this time, I'm able to do that 40 times. And I start making excuses. Well, I'm tired. Well, I'm a little bit hungover, or I was traveling a lot, or I was in a gym, I was in an environment. But you still take that into consideration. And why is that the right thing to do?
Yeah. So I think what I heard you say was that You did a certain number of repetitions in your stamina work at a particular weight. When you came back to it, it was a lower number of repetitions.
That's correct.
Let's say it was 2 weeks later between those two exercises. Well, you've done other exercises in between those two. And so the overall structure of your program needs to create steady stability in your energy output for stamina work. And so if you do a certain number and a couple weeks later, that number goes down, we're going to drop the weight so that the next time you're able to increase the blood flow and increase the energy and damage drain out of there a little bit better. When you lower the weight and you improve at the lighter weight, that energetic change carries over to the heavier weight when it returns again. It's not always about constantly doing heavier weights. It's about noticing the energy fluctuations, meeting those fluctuations so that the right parts of your physiology adapt in order to support the overall growth.
It's the biggest difference between having a fitness program that's focused on your 1 rep max and having a fitness program that looks at the whole person.
Yes.
For maximally useful and creative outside the gym.
Exactly.
Right? That's the biggest thing. But it gets in my head. Well, I don't want to go backwards. I don't want to go backwards.
I don't want you to either.
And that's the thing. That's the word we have to reinterpret.
Exactly.
And this is difficult because in an instant gratification society, and I'm one of those people who love instant gratification. I love that, right? It looks to me like it's going backwards, right? And what I'm hearing you saying is this is only backwards if you look at it in too short of a time frame.
Exactly.
Expressed over a longer time frame, where we'll have a more full perspective of this.
Exactly. Your energy efficiency will be higher. You'll recover from the heavier weights faster in the future. You'll be able to do more of those, making you capable of even more in the long haul. But we got to have that down cycle too.
Right. And making sure your workout program now is not exclusive of traveling, not exclusive of hangovers, though you might make different choices in the future, though I may make different choices about how to feel, but it's not exclusive of those things, of those external circumstances, as it would be if we discounted the workouts when those circumstances were present.
Exactly.
Check out the official Unlock Potential store, where inspiration meets style. Explore our exclusive collection of gear inspired by the transformational messages straight from our Unlock Potential podcast. From trendy apparel that embraces the power of positivity to accessories that fuel your motivation. We've got something for every go-getter. Spread the messages of empowerment, energy, and motivation that you get from the Unlock Potential podcast by grabbing your gear today. Any last thoughts to share on this episode, The Rock, The Hard Place, and Freedom?
I feel clear on this one.
Awesome. Well, I just want everybody to remember there's never been a single person who stood at the edge of the ocean yelling at it because it was underperforming at low tide or overperforming at high tide. Everybody just knows it's I'm trying to curse less.
Yeah.
It's the freaking ocean, right? You're the freaking ocean. You're not low tide. You're not high tide. You're the ocean. You're not your poor performance. You're not your best performance. You are a person who is able to express performance at different levels in different times for a long time, being able to serve others at your highest possible. So don't look over short time frames when the lifetime is the only appropriate time frame for us to look at this work through.
Yeah.
Right?
Perfectly put.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Corey. Appreciate you.
Yeah, man.
And thanks everybody for joining us. Like, subscribe, become part of this community. This community is growing every day, every week, every month, every year. And it's growing not because we're getting more people. We are getting more people, but because the people who have locked arms with us are growing. They're growing. They're becoming more developed, more capable, more fit to serve, more inspiring, which is just causing more curiosity. So I hope your life is as inspiring as it needs to be to create curiosity around you, and join us And we need more people with us. We desire to be on this journey with as many people as possible because we know it's this journey that can not only change you, not only change us, but change the world. So thank you.
Join us on Patreon for an exclusive discussion with Corey about the content in this episode. Here's a sneak peek.
So our comfort zone is tiny. Our comfort zone is tiny, and we're all told, and we were just talking about this before the episode, we're all told, well, you got to be outside your comfort zone. Yeah, and I think that's where some of the acceptability comes in, rather than finding that what's acceptable rather than what's exceptional.
Yes.
Is, well, if your comfort zone is here, you got to work outside your comfort zone, which only leads you to feeling more fragile later.
Exactly.
Can you talk about your mindset and the Stay Active Method's answer to that perplexing issue that people can't seem to get their hands around, and they live as a result of not being able to understand it?
Yeah, totally. If somebody has a comfort zone here and their absolute limit is right next to it, they're going to feel comfortable and then awful immediately. But if they push outside the comfort zone at that point, their effort zone is going to grow. They're going to feel so inspired by how much they're capable of doing out here. They're going to push out past the comfort zone. They're going to push to the limits of their ability, and their effort zone is going to grow. They get a lot of pride out of that process. Hell yes. But as you brought up in our conversation, the bigger this absolute limit gets, the more pressure starts pushing in on the comfort zone. And so now we have the comfort zone shrinking the more and more we get outside of it. And so when people start to get too much effort zone relative to comfort zone, we want to start to work the edge of the comfort zone. Not stopping altogether and not moving, but saying, hey, if I do a little bit of this, when does it start to be uncomfortable? If I do a little bit of that, when does it start to be uncomfortable? And sitting at that inner edge as well. And so when they sit at the inner edge, now their comfort zone gets a little bigger. And as they sit at the new inner edge, their comfort zone gets a little bigger. And now they're right back where they were. Their absolute limit is just outside what's comfortable for them. But their comfort zone is so much bigger than it used to be. They're accomplishing so much more. Now it's time to take on, push to the outer limit. And now the comfort zone is what their effort zone used to be. They are doing things that used to be their absolute limit very comfortably. And they're going well beyond.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Unlock Potential. For exclusive content, make sure to subscribe to our Patreon. Follow us across all socials at @TheBrianDelaney and visit our website at thebriandelaney.com to shop our gear and see what's coming up next.